Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Goaltending, where your why is bigger than your excuses. Today, we're going to get into being okay with making mistakes. Like taking action, accepting that I may make mistakes, and learning as you go. Before we get into that, thank you so much for tuning in, allowing me to be a part of your journey. It's incredible to be beyond 2 years of doing this podcast and to continue to have support and grow. And so just truly thank you. And it's really an honor to be able to share anything in my life, to bring incredible guests in, to share their journey, to help you and yours, like find takeaways that can help you in your life. So make sure you're looking for the takeaways in every episode and taking action on the things that mean something to you, that stand out to you, that you think can help you in your life toward the pursuit of your goals and finding fulfillment in your journey. What I want to get into is I've been doing this a little over 2 years now, and I'm at a point where I'm evaluating, how do I grow? How do I continue to make sure that this is making an impact? How does it relate to my long-term goals? And how do I keep up with all this? And a big part of what's been holding me back is being afraid to make mistakes, being afraid to look bad. So kind of doing more than I have to do because I'm well, if I mess up or I look bad, how does that look when people will judge me or think things about me, And I'm sure that you've been there at some point in your life where you're allowing worrying about making a mistake or failing hold you back, either prevents you from taking action or making you second guess yourself. It impacts your confidence. And so I was talking with a friend of mine about how do I improve on this? How do I improve the podcast? How do I improve the content? He's like, look, man, you're doing an episode every other month. You got to get more content out. You need to be dropping episodes at least once a week. And so I was like, all right, let's start there. I need to get more content out. How do I do that? It's it would be crazy to do what I've been doing and be able to do that. Especially my last episode, I talked about taking on too much and trying to prioritize. So I was like, all right, how do I get creative? How do I find a way to produce more content without creating more work or much more work than I'm already doing? All right, so I was like, okay, let's play with this idea, And he threw out a few things to me, my friend that I was talking with, and ultimately, I came to the conclusion. When I do guest episodes, I'm doing about hour-long episodes. It's okay, so let's split those in half. Let's do a part one, part two, share two different parts of somebody's journey, and allow more content to be created. And then in addition to that, when I do a solo episode, by keeping them short, 15, 20 minutes, we can knock out some good content. We can talk about things that'll help you, provide some tips. But I can knock out 2 or 3 episodes by sitting down at one time. And now I'm getting through more. I'm producing more without creating much more work. It's about the amount of content that I was already producing, already editing that. But now I'm what was one episode, I'm still doing the same amount of editing, but I'm dropping it into 2 episodes. So it allows me to double my content just off of that by making one episode 2 and maximizing my time through solo episodes by just knocking out multiple in one sitting. It minimizes my time for setup and breakdown, make sure everything's good to go. And so that's been really awesome. I'm in the beginning of it. It's the start of the year, but I'm aiming for that one episode a week now, which allows me to be with you all more, keep the episodes a little bit shorter, more straight to the point, so that they are providing the useful information that you need in a little bit more limited time, because all of our time is precious, right? And so now part of that is I used to also build pretty in-depth show notes. I was I need to have notes, all my questions laid out. That way I look professional. It's all about how do I look to people? If I'm asking somebody to be a guest, I need to show them I'm prepared. They need to know what we're talking about. And I was if I'm reaching out to somebody, I want to let them know the idea of what I'd like to talk about, why I want them to come on as a guest. But all the time that I'm spending, like thinking about, what questions am I going to ask? How do we flow this episode? Now that I've been doing it for 2 years, I know how I like an episode to be laid out. I know generally the type of content that is helping you in your journey to use the right kind of questions to draw that out in people. But also, I want to have authentic conversations with people when they come on. Like that authenticity is what draws out value for you. And so I was like, I don't need to spend all this time on trying to make sure that I had these show notes because I'm worried somebody might not think I'm professional if I don't do that. I'd rather have a real connection and say, like, I'd love to bring you on because like I see this incredible story you have, this value that you bring. I'd love to share that with my audience. I'd love to talk about these things, like boom, 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 couple brief tips. And then when they come in, like, let's let the conversation fly. Let's see where it goes to draw out as much like great tips, great advice, great lessons from their journey as possible. And so by worrying less about making mistakes, worrying less about like how do I look to them? Like, if I would do more than I needed to. I'd be worried about like slipping up, and I'm like, I can edit the episode. It's okay if I slip up, you know? So I want to ask you, I share that story because I want to ask, like, what is it that you're worried about making mistakes or looking bad or failing? Like, are you doing a bunch of unnecessary things that you don't actually have to do because you're worried about how you look to others? There may be things that you can adjust in your schedule to improve your efficiency without creating more work for yourself. There may be things that like you don't even have to do at all, but you think that you have to do them, but it's really just about creating something that is supposed to be like, does this make me look good for other people? When we can recognize those things, it's not that what other people think don't matter at all, because it does to an extent. But like, are you doing what's best for you? Are you maximizing your time and your efficiency toward the things that you're pursuing towards your goals? And are you feeling fulfilled in your journey? Like, what matters is, do you feel good? Like, are you doing the things that are helping you get where you're trying to be? If you're making mistakes, it's okay. Now, the next part of that is like, don't allow the fear of like making a mistake or failure keep you from taking action at all. Like, take action. Like, start doing stuff. I've been doing this for 2 years now, and I'm making that adjustment now after 2 years. But what happened is like I took action, I got started, and then through the journey I'm learning. Like, through taking the action, I'm looking at, all right, what mistakes have I made? How do I improve? So also be willing to accept, like, you don't have all the answers. You can be wrong. Be open to feedback and criticism and opportunities for growth. And if you are, it will improve how you work toward things. Like, you're taking stuff from people, you're receiving input, and you say, all right, like, they have a point, It's okay that I'm not the most efficient I could be right now. Do I want to be more efficient? Like, am I willing to do those things? Can I take on more work? If not, can I improve what I'm currently doing? There's a lot of that going on. Like, how do I improve? How do I get better at what I'm currently doing? Because we all have 24 hours in the day. But what are you doing with those 24 hours? Like, if you go to work for 8 hours a day, you got some commute time, let's say, 9 hours out of your day, there's still a whole lot of day left. Now you throw in sleep. If you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, you throw that in, and then how much are you still left with? Now you got family time, right? You got maybe time with friends. And you throw that in, like, what's left? How are you prioritizing the time that you have? If you're an entrepreneur, like, how are you maximizing your day to make a profit for your business, to reach your goals, to meet the things you're trying to do? But the whole takeaway of today is like, stop worrying about making the mistakes. It's okay to mess up. Ryan Godfredson, excellent Excellent author. He was on the show, one of my early episodes, like within the first 10 episodes, I think. At this point, he's published 2 books, incredible books, Elevated Leader and Success Mindsets. He's about to drop his 3rd book in June. He'll be coming back on the podcast a little bit later this year. But he has this great concept of being versus doing. Ultimately, if you think of people, if you think of yourself like an iPad, this is how he describes it. This is his metaphor. If you think of people like an iPad, you can download a new app, learn to do a new thing. And that's great. Like, cool, I can do this new thing with this new app on my iPad. But it doesn't make the iPad itself any better. Like, it doesn't improve its operating capabilities. It doesn't make the iPad any faster or better at what it does. And so the point of being versus doing is to be better, we have to upgrade our operating system. It's not about adding more apps, more things that we can do. It's about how do we actually just become better? How do we improve the way that we operate? And so don't be afraid of making the mistakes. Don't get caught up in like having a checklist, like how do I do things better? Like I need a step-by-step checklist to be able to function properly. How do I be a better human being? How do I be the person that I want to see in the mirror? Like, am I that person today? Like, am I looking at like, I'm exactly what I want, you know? Or do I constantly want to improve? Do I want to look in the mirror tomorrow and say, man, you're 1% better than yesterday? And say it the next day and the next day and let it compound. You know, so take that away. Stop being afraid of mistakes. Take action even if you are afraid, and learn as you go in the journey. I want to thank you all for tuning in, allowing me to be a part of your journey. I'm excited to bring you more content this year. Excited to bring in a ton of great new guests. There's already a few people in mind, a few people that are lined up that are just outstanding. I can't wait to share their stories with you. Make sure that you like, subscribe, drop a 5-star review. That helps a lot too. And comment with your thoughts and questions to join the conversation. And let's grow.